I think a decent amount to talk about, Slaw, wild card weekend. And when I'm saying a decent amount to talk about, I'm saying we had some just garbage trash bag games.
Dude,
Like
it
that weren't
was
even
ridiculous.
watchable. Like what are we doing?
It was ridiculous. I was talking to my wife about it, and maybe the most disappointed I have been in playoff football.
It almost reminded me of it's like whatever team that's in the playoffs playing the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Yeah. I mean, how is there this many blowouts? Her response was, "Well, it's the wild card, so you got a lot of really goods playing the bads." And I go, "But it's playoffs. There shouldn't be bads. I
There
mean, you're
should
in the
be at least like
playoffs."
give an effort.
Yeah, I said, "Look at the Giants Super Bowls. They back their way into the playoffs. They come in the cat door, and then they freaking catch fire and they go all the way."
And you know how much I like cats.
Yeah, right. No, it was nuts. I tell you what, I am exhausted, like emotionally exhausted from the extra games.
Yeah.
Um,
And there's still another game tonight.
right. There's still more.
Oh,
Um,
tough.
I do like the expanded playoffs because there's a lot more drama. There's extra
I
games.
do too.
There's
I do too.
um, I think it was a good choice. Um, now that'll be seen as we go over the next years or decades, because the extra regular season game and whatever else, it's more chance of injury. um, it's kind of hard to track all that with all the COVID IRs and all that at the moment, so we'll just kind of
The,
see over the
the thing
years.
you talk about the extra game or the extra team in the playoffs. That's the first time. Like I don't think the extra game's great. I think that's terrible. But it's the first time I really feel like the NFL like nailed it on something because one extra team, but it's not extra games. Like there's not an extra weekend because there's just one bye instead of
Mm-hmm.
two. And to me it's like don't complain if you don't get the bye. Just be the best team in your conference. And I actually like that.
I still I still haven't figured out what side of the fence I fall on with only one team in a conference getting a bye. Um,
At first I didn't like it because I think we were number 2 seed one time. But now it's like be be better.
yeah.
Like that's kind of my thought process. And it's like, no, the best team deserves that week off.
Mm-hmm.
The other teams, it's like don't cry about it. Maybe win more games.
Yeah.
But I was where you were at too at the beginning. Like last year when they did, I was like, I think this is stupid. But now looking after a year, or after having a year of it, looking at it, it's like, no, the best team does deserve it. So like that's kind of where I lie on it. Bro,
Well, I will say that the NFL has been fighting for years and years and years to get two extra regular season games.
mm-hmm.
They wanted an 18 game regular season, and so I guess to settle on just adding one game to the regular season while eliminating two preseason games. I like that. Um, I think it adds a little more parity too, because let's be honest. If you're a starter, you're not playing a whole lot in the preseason anyway.
Or you
Um,
shouldn't. You shouldn't be.
you shouldn't. It will hurt the game as far as development for younger players.
Mm-hmm.
I do think that, but as a player goes, um, it's it's kind of a wash. Yes,
Mm-hmm.
you are adding more risk because it's another meaningful game where you're gonna, as an offensive line guy, in the first two preseason games combined, I'm gonna play a total of 30 plays
Mm-hmm.
in the first two preseason games,
Right.
and then So by eliminating 2 of those and adding a full game, I'm going to play 70 plays in an extra game. So, I mean, essentially I got another half of football
Yeah.
is what I have to play. And
It's not a huge, when it's all said and done, it's not a huge deal. I mean,
what is unfortunate is if somebody signed their contract right before
yes,
they started the 17 game deal,
then their game checks not as much as they should be.
yeah, because you're getting paid the same salary
Yeah,
spread out over
but you're getting
an
paid
extra
by
game.
the game.
Yeah, so you're playing a free game.
See, that's where I'd be super comfortable if I signed my contract. And it's like, oh yeah, let's add another game. Just give me another game check.
Yeah, if that's how it worked, great.
If not, then we got some fighting to do. Hey, PA, can we talk about that? Goodness gracious. Bengals Raiders, by the way.
The only game
Okay.
worth watching
Yes.
all weekend.
I'm on both sides because I'm very happy for the Bengals. Treacherous job by the referees, unfortunately. I don't want to, I mean, you have to talk about it because it was the play that mattered. You could tell the defense stopped playing. You saw them. They stopped playing and they counted it. The thing that I'm not taking away from the Bengals, because the Bengals are good enough to move on. Quite frankly, the Raiders are good enough to move on too after watching the other teams in some of the other teams. Well, maybe not, because Bills and Chiefs were the other winners. But the Bengals are good enough, but like it's kind of just like, man, that's where the NFL, like I said, they did a great job, right, on getting the extra team. But man, review, like there's one reason that you have review, like instant replay review. It's to get it right. And clearly they got it wrong. Like you have video. I heard someone say, well, maybe they didn't listen to the audio. Well, if you're in New York City, you're reviewing stuff. Do you think you'll have everything at your hands in watching the play? My guess is you would. I mean, it's a billion-dollar business, right?
They do have
you have audio.
The audio. They do.
You have audio.
The issue is they don't have the rule, is what it is. They don't have the rule in place that would allow them to overturn a play based on an what do they call
whistle.
It? An errant whistle.
Inadvertent. So like, but the thing is,
whistle.
It's an inadvertent whistle. Like, why then is there forward progress? Because that's that's a whistle, and you have to, even if like forward progress was jacked up, it's happened many times with quarterbacks where they start to get in the grasp, as they would say, and there's an inadvertent whistle, or not an inadvertent. There's just a whistle. Well, a whistle's a whistle, whether it's inadvertent, whatever. It's a whistle, and that wasn't an inadvertent. They blew the whistle because they thought he was out. Like, you can't. Like, how does this happen? Like in a playoff game, fine. I don't care if early in the year it's the Jacksonville Jaguars versus the Texans. Have 45 inadvertent whistles, right? But in a playoff game, and in almost the only playoff game that was even watchable besides one other, like let's find a way to maybe not do that, because it decided the fate of the Raiders. I mean, but either team could have won. Like, they were both, though, I would have been fine with either team because I actually really like both teams.
In league meetings in the offseason, that rule will be changed.
I honestly, yeah, there's no rule, but you can for that, I guarantee you can say, hey, you just have eyes, right? You have eyes, I have eyes, Scott, you have eyes. Because I don't think there's a rule that you can't, though, either. It's like, nah, we messed up. This is no touchdown. It's so even what they said
wasn't
online, like they said, for inadvertent whistles like that, just replay it.
Yeah, that would make the most sense.
That's an absolute, like, good for the Bengals, right? They needed to win a game. They needed to win a playoff game. Bravo. But like, how does that happen?
I'm so sick and tired of watching officiating crews so obviously trying to decide a game.
I mean, and like you and
the
I have said,
holding
we're
calls,
happy for the Bengals. Like we
the
like them.
holding calls against the Raiders.
Mhm.
I mean, look, there was some that
Yeah,
were
but there's
real,
some in
but there
in
was
every game.
others that was just like, what? Are you kidding me? There was some in the Eagles game too. I mean, I don't want to get too far ahead, but
Right.
Jason Kelsey, the center for the Eagles, um, God, he had some called on him that were just like, what? That is the dumbest thing I've ever seen in my life.
It's crazy.
And holy crap.
But it's stuff like that. Now, I personally don't believe it is.
When I watch some of the
But
holding
it's
calls, I'm like, I wouldn't even be able to play in the NFL today.
right, right. But that's like after playing in everyone says the blood, sweat, and tears, but after playing and we know what we give and what I never felt like I was cheated. Like I never like I believe there's refs that mess up. But like it's stuff like that. It's plays like those. Maybe not the Bucks Eagles game because it was such a blowout, but if say it was a close game or like the Bengals, that's what makes fans question like, is something rigged?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? It's like, wait a second here. Is something fixed?
What made me feel a little bit better about it is the Raiders at the end of the game got to have it.
They had a chance.
Got to go down and score. That
But
roughing
they
the
but they
passer penalty was the most
right.
ridiculous thing I have ever seen in my life. The DN came scot-free. I mean, not scot-free. He beat the left tackle with a good move. Derek Carr threw the ball, and the DN launched, and the very tip of his shoulder pad grazed the chest of Derek Carr. Didn't even affect him at all.
Yeah, but there's some now let me say this. There's a lot of roughing the passers don't affect the throw at all. Because they're
No,
just late hits.
but it didn't affect his body. Like
No,
after the ball was gone, the
no,
DN comes.
I saw it. I didn't think it was that bad. I'm saying it shouldn't have been called.
There was nothing to the head or neck area. Like I thought initially when I saw the DN's hands go up to try to block the ball, I said, okay, well, he probably came down and hit him in the face mask. No, there was none of that. And his shoulder tip grazed Derek Carr's chest. Derek Carr sold it. He sold it for sure. He did his flail, but it pretty much scratched his chest, but his body still didn't even move.
No, I mean, because he did get hit a little. It wasn't a hit because I just saw it right now. He actually kind of did hit him in the face, but it's still not like he grazed his face, but it wasn't worthy. It wasn't roughing the passer worthy at all. But the thing that's different too, say that touchdown doesn't happen, say they kick a field goal, they only need a field goal though too.
Mm-hmm.
There at the end. It's just it's just what are we doing?
But I'm saying by them calling that ridiculous roughing the passer, it made me feel better a little bit because I'm like the whole officiating the whole game was so weighted.
Yeah, it was
for Cincinnati.
It's almost like they were searching for a way to like save their bad call.
Right. All their bad calls. Like, okay, we have to give them something ridiculous.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I just that's a tough one for me to deal with. Like, and I'm sure fans, because it's like, except Bengals fans, because they're like, we finally found a way to win, even if it was with the help of a crazy call. And then we go, like,
well, hold on quickly before we finish
up
ahead. On Cincinnati. Look, I was pulling for Cincinnati. Zach Taylor, huge fan of his. He was my quarterback in college. He's an absolute stud. Really proud of the job he has done because Cincinnati has been an absolute dumpster fire for decades.
Oh man, they've just been like just tons of horse mess in there on fire.
Right. And then,
and it smells.
he comes in and, he drafts well, and he gets the thing flipped around in just 2 years. Like that's incredible. Um, it's a great story to have Cincinnati in.
For
Uh,
sure.
but when you look at the other side of it, for as much crap as the Raiders have been through, it would have been a great story for them also.
Heck yeah, it would have. It would have been. And by the way, we have all these head coach. Before we move on to the next game, we have all these head coaching jobs. If the Raiders don't do the right thing and keep Bisaccia as the head coach, those other teams that are those, I think it's like 7 other teams, I'm getting him on the phone. Every single person that has ever been around Rich has said he'd be an unbelievable head coach someday. I remember in San Diego, Philip Rivers said Bisaccia would address the team because everyone loved and respected him. That's something to look into. I mean,
if he isn't retained, it will be one of the biggest travesties of the NFL.
What he did, going 7-5 in the regular season with everything that went on, most teams would win maybe 2 games, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
They just made it to the playoffs. Mike Mayock, I think if it's his decision, he will keep him. It's just, is it going to be his decision or is it going to be the owner's decision? That's what we'll find out. Patriots Bills. I'm never been so disappointed in a game in my entire life. Let me say this first. Josh Allen, unreal, absolutely unreal. They have a chance to move on and move on and move on. Like they have a chance to be a Super Bowl team. Like they're that good. The Patriots. Wow.
Yeah, that was gross. That's like a playoff Patriots team that I've never seen before.
I don't think anyone's ever seen that team.
I
don't think, not even at the Patriots.
My son asked me at the start of the game, he goes, "Dad, who do you want to win?" I said, "Well, I want the Bills to win, but because of the weather, how cold it is, I think the Patriots are going to win because their running game is what this game is going to be all about." And then I watched the first drive and I was like, oh, well, maybe not.
Maybe I am so far off. I mean, the Bills, they have a lot of great players, right? But like, I mean, Stephen he's awesome. The other receivers, really good receivers. I mean, but it kind of just is, man, Josh Allen's really, really good. And when you have a quarterback like that, even if he didn't have good receivers, he'd find ways to win because he's that good.
Yeah, and unfortunately, I didn't see any fight in the defense out of the Patriots.
Disappointing.
Which is weird. I was watching.
I was just disappointed. 47
Judon.
points.
I was watching Judon a lot because he was a high profile guy that they brought in and paid a bunch of money to,
and had a great season, great regular season.
A great regular season, but right at the end he started going a little cold, and he was due to go off. And in the playoffs, you need to go off, and I'm sure old Billy Belichick over there was getting him gassed up. And when I watched him, I'm like, holy crap, where's the fight in this guy? He's not even rushing. It's like he's not even trying.
It's almost like, where's the fight in the whole defense? So 47 points is a lot.
Yeah.
In the NFL, 47 points is like 70 points in college football. Like 47 points. Like, what the heck happened? It was never a game.
No. I will say, I don't want to put it all on the defense, because when you look at their offense,
no, you're right.
Oh my God, has Mac Jones ever thrown a ball in the cold before?
It makes you wonder.
Because
has he ever been cold?
That was embarrassing. How he would have like a 10-yard throw and he could only throw it 7 yards.
I mean, and then it doesn't help that they had like one of the best cold weather quarterbacks ever. I mean, he's the greatest of all time, but then like in the cold, Tom caught that was the one thing that I could never understand. It's almost like Tom threw better balls as the weather got worse. You're like, I don't know, why is this happening? Like,
I
what's
wasn't
going on?
understanding it though when you watch Mac Jones throw. He'd set up and throw and just zip it, but the ball would come out so dead.
Maybe
He would
maybe he has hands like mine or like an arm like mine. I mean, I know he doesn't have an arm like mine because then he'd just be throwing bombs, and
he would look
they
like
don't do
he'd
that in
throw
their
his whole
offense.
body into that throw and the ball would just go meow.
But it's so weird because that's not what it looked like all season. So the cold had to have affected him.
Yeah,
I don't know. That game's not even worth talking about. Bucks Eagles, barely worth talking about too, except I did want to address what are the Bucks gonna do? I don't know who they play this coming week. Has it been decided yet or no? Because
no, it's about tonight, right?
yeah. But let me say this. If they have to play the Rams with that offensive line right now,
Yeah, that's
holy
it was good to see Ryan Jensen
moly.
come back in the game and finish it
Yeah.
out.
Yeah. I know you like that. You like stuff like that. You're like, okay.
Yeah, the right tackle. As soon as I saw him on the sideline, I was like, "Uh-oh, that's a high ankle sprain, I think."
Oh yeah.
And then he came back in and tried to play a couple plays, and when
And
I
just got
watched him set,
beasted.
I was like, "High ankle sprain, I think."
And he
Which means
tried
he's
even
done for.
he tried to put his he tried to
done
put his foot in
for
the
a lot.
ground, and it looked, you're like, oh no. Anyone that's had a high ankle sprain knows exactly that feeling when your foot goes in the ground. You're like, oh no.
And
No,
high
no,
ankle
no, no.
sprains for offensive line and defensive line are probably the worst positions to have high ankle sprains.
Well, and let me say this. Don't you think being isolated as a tackle is even worse than maybe a guard? Or does that matter?
It's all bad because of how you have to brace. You know,
It's all bad.
I've been very critical of skill players when they get like a grade 2 MCL and they're like, "Oh, I'm got to be out for a month." It's like, "What? You know how many grade
so like
twos I have had?"
that's what, so I guess high ankles are bad for skill players too, but that's just, knees are just as bad as high ankles for skill players. So that'd kind of be equivalent to like what you guys have to deal with.
Right. So I've had multiple grade 2s and I never missed a snap for them. You know, luckily they've happened on like third downs. So then we go punt and then I go put on a brace and then I come out and I play and everything's fine, because you don't really need an MCL
As a lineman
to do what an O lineman has to do, whereas an MCL will shut down a skill player.
Yeah, completely.
Conversely, though, a high ankle sprain will completely wreck a lineman, but a skill player will be back in like a week or two. I've seen it
because of all that weight.
Well, just because their whole thing isn't bracing, it's all about speed and cuts. Yeah. So you can have
that's what I'm saying with an O lineman, like it's all the weight is on you.
Yes.
Because
you're
gonna have a big Aaron Donald push against you and you have to brace that.
Yeah, and it ain't gonna work. So if that's the case, that dude is out for the remainder of the postseason, and that sucks.
He could maybe Super Bowl. He could maybe, because that's 4 weeks ish, right?
It depends on how bad it is.
Yeah.
If it's a mild one, yeah, I could see him back for the Super Bowl.
I bet it's mild, because if he even attempted to do anything, it would have to be mild, right? But hey, anyone that's listening, mild high ankle sprains are still miserable. Yeah.
So to just kind of illuminate what a high ankle sprain exactly is, high ankle sprain and an ankle sprain are dramatically different things. High ankle sprain, before they actually deemed it as this, used to be called a broken leg, because what it is it's when your tibia and fibula separate.
Yep. Had that injury.
Come apart.
Had surgery on it.
And it rips everything in between, all the connective tissue in between your tibia and fibula there. And if it's bad enough,
you have to get surgery.
Drill through your leg, and they put in this wire called a tightrope.
I had
And
3. I have 3.
yeah, and they suck them together. It's a really, really bad deal.
And it's like it's bad. That's all we have to say. It's bad. And then it makes you so I also broke my leg, and that's probably why they called it that. I broke my fibula because of the chain reaction all the way up because of the stress. It like goes all the way up and it breaks your leg too if you have it that bad.
Yeah.
So what we're saying is high ankles, that's not something just because it's an ankle sprain isn't something you just play on. It just isn't.
Yeah.
Still a trash bag of a game though. I don't know. I guess the only thing I wanted to say is we'll see what happens in the playoffs, the rest of the playoffs, because man, they're obviously a really good team, but they could end up going out earlier than we I'm not going to say it because it's Tom Brady, but I'm saying he has everyone around him hurt. Everyone, skill players, everything. The only thing that's still functioning is a Gronkowski and a Mike Evans. So we'll see.
I will say if Ryan Jensen ends up being okay, then things are looking good because you are without your right tackle, and if you're going to be out a starter against the Rams defensive line, that would be the guy that you
don't want your center out.
You don't want your center out. You don't want your guards out. You don't want your left tackle out. Because I think the way they have it is Aaron Donald is playing anywhere over the inside 3.
Anywhere he wants to.
And then they got Von Miller playing over the left tackle, I believe. Which is weird because in Denver he would play exclusively over the right tackle. But in LA, I think they have him playing over the left. Because they have the other guy. Oh gosh, I can't remember his name. The dude that came from the Bears,
Leonard Floyd.
Yeah, he's playing over the right tackle, I believe. Not that Leonard Floyd isn't good. He's obviously good.
Yeah.
But if you're gonna be down a guy, I think that's the right guy to
be
down.
The guy to be down.
Yeah.
If you want to have an injury, or if you have to have an injury. Yeah, I don't know. We'll see what happens. I'm going to the Steelers Chiefs game too because there's not much to talk about except the Chiefs can score points.
Oh, before we get to that one, because there's a lot of stuff I want to hit on that one.
Oh, really? I didn't think there would. Okay, go to the Niners Cowboys one.
Niners Cowboys. What the hell happened, Dallas? I mean, I know we talked about this last week on the pod. How I said, Dallas looks so impressive and all this, but I said it's Dallas in the playoffs. And since Jerry Jones, or not since Jerry Jones took over, but just a few years after Jerry Jones took over, it's like they could never win a playoff game ever again.
Let me say this. It didn't shock me. Not even because of the Cowboys, but Kyle Shanahan's really good. And the Niners for since week 10 have been dominating teams, dominating. And this is the other thing, because they're in San Francisco. California teams don't get talked about a ton, right? Just because they're way over there and their time zone sucks and all this, that.
Whatever. It is weird how California teams, it's like you aren't even part of the country.
Yeah.
You're so far removed from everybody else.
And we're looking to not even include, they're going to have to move teams out of California and be in Nevada, all of them in Nevada. But the Niners, even though he didn't have a great stat line, Jimmy Garoppolo is a good quarterback. Is he a Tom Brady? No. But is he just a solid, really good quarterback? Yes. He made a bad decision yesterday. Yada, 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 whatever. One bad decision. He played good though. And he's more than good enough to lead that team. And his stock is rising because they might not keep him because of the young kid. But
which would be a mistake.
Yeah, but for teams like the Steelers who are going to be looking for a quarterback, he could go there. There's also plenty of other teams that need quarterbacks too. Plenty. And he's just showing it's like, no, I'm actually pretty good. And their run game, amazing. It's Kyle Shanahan does a really, really good job of a lot.
Yeah.
And I do, dude, were they the like the 7th seed or whatever?
I don't even know.
I think they might have. Scott,
so
do you know?
dang
But
playoff
if so, that means the Packers have to play them. And the one thing the 49ers can do, especially if it's cold, especially if it's just a messy weather game, they know how to run the ball. And they will not, like, that's what they live and die by.
Yep.
So a few things. The 49ers were actually like a top 3 favorite to win the Super Bowl, like preseason. So they knew their talent was there. They just had they had a ton of injuries the first part of the season.
Yes. And then Garoppolo was out.
Yeah.
It was just a bad deal.
I actually have a $50 ticket on the Packers winning the Super Bowl, which it pays me like $600. I got them at like 1,100 to 1 or whatever.
Yeah.
The only team I'm scared of is the 49ers. That's it. The only team I'm scared of in the whole thing is the 49ers because of the way they play. And like, I want you guys from your perspective, like, let's talk about Samuel, how he can be a wide receiver and a running back at his size, height. I mean, it's like he can play both at a very high level.
So the thing is, Scott, and this is why, like, people I think because I was like a change of pace back, I think it's one of the most important pieces of an offense because it dictates what the defense plays. If you have a running back that's almost like a receiver, it dictates what they play. Because if they bring in bigger people like nickel, well, it's bigger for a sub personnel. Well, then it's like, okay, that's fine. We're going to throw the ball. Because you're going to have a linebacker on Deebo Samuel or George Kittle. You think that's a good matchup for either? No. Okay, well, we're going to run dime. Oh, you know what we're going to do if you run dime, which means take a linebacker out and put another corner in.
Well, zone week. Here we go.
Yeah, then we're just going to run. We're just going to run the ball to death. And you're going to hate it because we're going to get 7 or 8 yards because – do you think Alex Mack and company can block a nickel or a dime corner? I think they can. I think they're going to obliterate them. So it messes when I saw that the Cowboys drew the Niners, I was worried for the Cowboys because the Niners they can run against anyone. That was not what the Cowboys wanted to see, was a run game like that. I mean, no one would want to, but with what the Cowboys have, that's not what they want to see.
But with the huge dramatic shift that their defense has made this year, I mean, when the offense became stale there in the middle of the year, it's like their defense caught fire and they didn't let up. And then at the end of the regular season, then the offense got it figured out again. And the way I perceive Dallas going in the playoffs, like, holy crap, is there a hotter team going into the playoffs right now?
Yes, there is. The Niners. Because since week 10, I saw some stat. I don't remember it now, so it would be completely false, which I could make up anyways. But they have been dominant. Deebo Samuel, the last, I think 6 weeks, has went nuts. Like, if you have someone like that, it's like, what do we do? And then the Cowboys, if there's a strength between pass defense or rush defense, it would be pass defense because they have some guys that can rush the passer. Oh my gosh, they do. And then they have some DBs that are really good. So it's like, if there was a weakness, yes, they had such a better year. It was rush defense. And what's the thing that the Niners do best, probably better than any team, is run offense and just run game period, like the creativity that they have, or like their play actions unreal, which that's not going to help either, right? A defense
yeah.
like that. So it didn't shock me. Like I kind of before the game, as it started, I was like, I kind of think the Niners, and I kind of wanted the Cowboys to win actually, because I just wanted to see. I like Dak a lot. But it didn't shock me, and it would. This is going to be a hot take, but it wouldn't shock me if they beat the Packers. Like I don't think they will, but it wouldn't shock me.
No.
If I'm taking a money line, I'm taking the Packers.
Well,
but
I'm going to now to try to offset some of my money. I can't lose now. Like you know what I mean?
I see.
Like
Yes.
I can now put 100 on the money line on San Francisco. I still have the opportunity to make 550 with the Packers. Like I'm in a good position, but I would like to just go all the way and not worry about it. And here's the one thing that the 49ers, look at who they've played. Tough teams. They beat the Rams when they were down 14-0.
Yeah.
They beat the Titans. They came back in Tennessee because I think the Titans are really tough mudslingers.
Well, and they're much.
They came back and beat them in overtime, and that to me showed a lot of like grit during that game when they could have easily given up. But yeah, no, they're the team right now.
They're tough. I don't want to get too far off of this weekend's playoffs games, but I just want to say something about the Titans that the media is kind of bothering me about.
I love when you get bothered.
And a chew goes in.
Yeah.
Okay, so, it's business time. Why? Well, he threw another dip in. He might have. Was that an upper lipper?
Yeah. Here we go. When old buddy, oh my gosh, why can't I think of his name? The running back.
Yeah, Henry.
Yeah,
and he's back, by the way.
Yes.
When he got hurt, and everybody's like, okay, their season may be over. This is a bad deal, broken foot. They won't be able to do anything. Look at what happened when he went out. They were all worried about if they were going to be able to run the ball efficiently. Didn't they have like 3 games where they rushed for over 200 yards with some name that nobody's ever heard of before?
They have a good run O-line.
Yeah. And I will say Derrick Henry is a very, very special player. I give him that.
Yeah, no one's saying he's not.
But for everybody to be saying that Tennessee is about to go on a tear because Derrick Henry is coming back, media, chill the hell out and look at what's happened.
They've already been on a tear.
It doesn't matter who is playing running back for them. They're smashing fools.
You put Scott Papik back there, he's going to rush for maybe not 100, but probably like 85 to 90 yards and 2 touchdowns.
At least 87.
Yeah, with 2 touchdowns.
I mean, we need to stop with all this BS. I mean, Vrabel's done an incredible job. Their O-line is savage. Their plan is savage. Defensive front is just ridiculous. They're ready to play some smash mouth ball. They don't care who is playing running back for them. Now, with Derrick coming back, are they better? Probably.
Yeah.
Probably better because he's pretty ridiculous. But we need to stop with this narrative that's like, okay, Tennessee finally has a chance.
Yeah. Finally has a chance. And they just, did they back into the number 1 seed?
Yeah. Okay. They obviously deserved it.
Yeah. That's literally Clownville right there.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's just stupid. The media, sometimes it's just like, guys, will you just stop being homers and just do a little research, look with your eyes. Anyway.
Instead it was a fun story that they knew they were going to get some clicks. This will be amazing. Let's get some clicks.
Anyway, on last
game
one.
Yeah, last game before the last game tonight. The Chiefs, Steelers. The Steelers, let me say this. They had a chance until that 3rd and 20 to Kelsey. It was 14-7 with not a lot of time left at all. 3rd and 20 from midfield, and Kelsey scores on like a 48-yarder or something. And then started going into the second half, then they score again fast. Or not fast, but relatively fast. Then Pittsburgh does something. Next thing you know, they score again. It's like they're catching form. There were times I thought they were a little shaky during the year. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, like the first like six weeks of the year, they look
like
bad.
Shaky right now. They're shaking the other people.
Last night they looked real bad in the first quarter.
Yeah.
They look gross.
Yeah.
For it to be 0-0 and
like McDonald's gross.
Yeah. But for neither side to be able to do anything. I understand Pittsburgh's defense is pretty sick. Their D line is pretty sick. But the Chiefs are no stranger to that. They know how to deal with that, and they pretty much did nothing. And then when they started to get a little spark, then it's like, is there a better offense out there to look like the Bills?
Yeah.
I mean, it's like they could do no wrong at all.
No, it was the Chiefs. If they play like that offensively, how they did the last 40 minutes, we'll say. Sorry, everyone else.
And the creativity of plays hasn't stopped.
No,
it is ridiculous. The weird shovel pass thing.
Yeah. To McKinnon.
And it wasn't even a shovel pass. It was like an underhand dart throw. I'm like, what the hell is going on over here? I mean, it was just the traditional shovel right play, but Mahomes
in a different way.
No, I don't want to shovel it. I want to do this softball pitch.
Chemo softball.
Dart to the guy. And then they pull out the O-lineman score, which I want to
clearly illegal.
I want to get back to, because Chris Collinsworth.
It was clearly illegal, though. It was a hold because of how he slammed him down.
That's what Chris Collinsworth said. I disagree.
I know you disagree, but like, I don't think if that was within the interior and you did that and it would have been a hold. I really believe they would have called that, because if you do that, I feel like usually they call a hold. Isn't that true? If you're in the interior and did that
as a guard, I would get a flag for that.
That's what I'm saying. Because it looked like he was pass blocking.
He's playing tight end. And how many times have you seen tight ends do the exact thing where you engage in a block?
True. That is true. But like,
and you turn and throw, and then you go out on your route.
It is iffy. And I'm even off. Like, I don't want to ever call offensive pass interference or whatever. Like, I hate that. But like, it was still like, it was close. Because he was he basically set almost like he was blocking, not set, but he was blocking.
This is what it is. Chris Collinsworth is a fuckhead, and he hates offensive linemen. Absolutely hates them. But let's be clear. That offensive lineman was not playing offensive line.
No, he was playing tight end, clearly.
He was playing tight end, and tight ends do that shit all the time.
They do. And it's still like, I even think with tight ends doing it, it's like, you know what I'm saying? But I agree with you. Maybe we don't always see eye to eye with Chris Collinsworth.
Yeah, he is a fuckhead. And on that note, that was my first. I have a whole.
Gosh. You have a list of gripes.
Do you imagine him at 10:30 in the middle of bed last night, just pulling out his sheet and writing down stuff because he's so irritated?
Now, I also understand your view on that, but like in my head, I was like, I don't know if that's legal, really. Like you know what I'm saying? And tight ends, you're right, they do it too. And I don't know if that should be a thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I don't know, but they don't call it, because I know as an offensive lineman, I would get called for that all day.
That's more so what I was saying. See, like I wasn't thinking of anything else. I was just like, I don't know if that's legal.
But I haven't played
not being persuaded by him.
I haven't played tight end since my rookie year, playing that spot, the jumbo tight end spot, and that's what that guy was playing.
Yeah. Oh no, he was clearly tight end.
Yeah, and it was an awesome play, and he manhandled Watt. Whereas if I did that as a guard, I would get flagged.
Yes.
But tight ends do that all the time, and there's never a flag, and everything's fine.
You're right. And if you're going to be consistent with tight ends, then that should never be a flag.
Just because he was wearing a 70s number, Collinsworth was going nuts. It was like, illegal play, shouldn't have happened. Collinsworth, shut up. He's wearing a 70s number. Get over it.
Yeah.
If you put Travis Kelce in a 70s number, you would still be slobbing him off. I mean, geez.
Give me a couple more. I just want to hear a couple more, because I think this is worth it before we go into kind of
Scott and I
something I want to talk about.
Scott and I were talking about this before you jumped on. God, he just angers me so much.
Is this going to be a new segment for you?
He was talking
what Collinsworth would do.
He was talking about the O-line and going against the unblockable TJ Watt, which, look, Watt is one hell of a player.
He was the best. He was the best this year.
He's special for sure.
Yeah.
And he's going against Andrew Wiley at right tackle for the Chiefs. Let's be clear who Andrew Wiley is. He is not a right tackle. Okay. He's an interior player, but based on how things have happened, he has now.
Let's be clear.
He's had to morph into a tackle for them. And he's going against the best pass rusher in the NFL. And I don't know if Andrew Wiley did something to his family. I don't know if he got after his daughter. I don't know what. I don't even know if Chris Collinsworth has a daughter. But Andrew Wiley at some point must have stolen Chris Collinsworth lunch money.
I was just thinking lunch.
Because he has a vendetta against him. Just shitting all over the guy all game long, saying how Watt is just doing whatever he wants. And yeah, what it was is Wiley got beat a couple times. And that's going to happen when you're playing against a Watt. Well,
yeah, Watt's been doing that too.
Not a Watt.
Yes.
When you're playing against TJ Watt.
But TJ Watt's been doing that against good tackles this year.
Yes.
So to go after a guy, yeah. Go after every single guy in the NFL then.
So then even when Wiley started blocking him, Collinsworth would still sell it.
TJ Watt was just drumming him.
No, he started saying that it was a scheme thing, how they decided to change their scheme and have Mahomes go right at him. So whichever way Watt picked, he'd be wrong. So if he go up the field, then Mahomes would duck under. And if he'd
climb in the pocket,
then he would go out. And
no, because then you'd have a TE.
Right.
That makes that's not how football works.
Yeah. It's ridiculous. Gosh. And it was just frustrating me so bad that I'm watching this going, no, what it is Wiley's blocking him. And the Chiefs are making plays, and Mahomes is making plays, and the skill players are making plays because the offensive line is making plays.
Yeah.
And the last thing I want to say to not pull up a point of how he's wrong, but just the basic philosophy of Collinsworth is that offensive linemen are not good enough to play in this game of football. It's so obvious to me that that's how he feels about offensive linemen. I want to throw something out there and see if you agree with me.
Yeah.
To me, it feels like Chris Collinsworth thinks that he could do a better job at playing offensive line than offensive linemen. Where in reality, let's just take the best, most athletic offensive lineman, and let's put him at receiver. And let's take the best, most athletic receiver and put him at offensive line. Who do you think would have more success?
the lineman.
The
at
lineman,
receiver.
for sure.
It's not even close.
Playing line is freaking tough. You have to be big, you have to be strong, and you have to be athletic.
Gross. I mean, athletic.
Yeah, you have to be gross, but you have to be athletic just in a different way. Now, that being said, you look at a guy like me, how was I able to play 10 years with not being as good of an athlete as a lot of guys? You can make up the ground by being smart.
Yeah.
But at receiver, you have to be fast and you have to be on point, and then you have to make the play. But making the play is like 3-4 times a game.
Every play is at O-line.
And if you're going off at a receiver, you're talking about 10 catches.
Yeah, but I mean, that's not often, right?
Right. Offensive line, you have to show up every play. Every single play, you have to make a play. So for Collinsworth to shit all over an offensive lineman here, what I want to say to the guy, and we're going to tag him in this so he hears this, because I know he listens. Chris, I could do your job as a receiver. You could.
You're going to say as a color
commentator.
Job. I thought you were talking about as a commentator.
Oh, no, I want nothing to do with that.
But you still could.
But he's a receiver. I'm an offensive lineman. I could do his job. He could never even hope of a dream to do mine, ever.
That's fair.
There you go.
I mean, that is fair. I can't wait. I'm excited for the playoffs next week just to watch the games, right? Like, because the playoffs are the best time of year for NFL. I might be even more excited for your Collinsworth breakdown next week. I think it's going to be amazing. I do. Last thing I want to talk about is Eric Weddle signing with the Rams after being out for 2 years. It is, and he'll go out and he'll play good. But like, let me say this. We've been out longer, right? Could you imagine playing a football game at our age? I'll be 37 this year. Weddle's turn. I think he just turned 37. We're like 20 days apart. I could not imagine. I mean, could anyone go out and play a certain amount of plays for a game? Not anyone, but like you could go out and play, dominate for like 10 plays. Could you? I think, right? I have no idea. I can't imagine what I'd feel like after a practice right now. Like, say I didn't have a jacked up hammy, right?
Mm-hmm.
I have no idea how I would feel after a practice. Oh my goodness. Like I'm saying, like as a, like what I would have to do, like running full speed routes. What? At 37 years old? I mean, it could be done, right? I guess if we were training. But holy moly. And I think he's going to go out and play pretty good. I do.
Mm-hmm.
But I just, when
it's also
he
a
came
difference
back,
of positions also, I think.
It is. You're right. You're without a doubt. But they can kind of free him up, play him in his zone. But I mean, he can play man-to-man on tight ends without a doubt. Mm-hmm. Oh my gosh, easy.
And
but it's like
very, very intelligent player.
He is, and he's lighter because I texted him. He is lighter than he played at. So like that's going to help too, just because he doesn't need to. He's not playing every play at safety where he needs to be downhill. He's gonna be playing pass coverage, right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I'm excited, to watch him. But like, man, I could not imagine playing.
Well, to answer your question, I'm still pretty close to my playing weight, so that isn't going to be an issue.
That you'd be all right.
I've still been lifting pretty aggressively, so that isn't going to be an issue. What it is the pounding. So this is how I see it going. If a team called me now and said, hey, our starter got hurt and we can't find anybody else with your experience, can you come in and give us a game?
Yes.
I'll say I can come and give you 2 series. That's what I can give you. the other thing is
let's
say,
just pass pro. Let's just be say you're at Arizona and it's just pass pro. Then yeah.
Fast forward 3 or 4 weeks. We're in the Super Bowl. No, but I'm still on the streets. But let's say the Bills are in the Super Bowl because Bobby Johnson is a buddy of mine. He's the O-line coach for the Bills. So I know the system. I know what he wants. And their starter goes out and he says, I need you for the Super Bowl. I just want you to come in and back up. And then the first series, one of their guys gets hurt and I have to play the rest of the thing. I will go in there because I know it's one game. That's all you're getting out of me. One game, I'll play the remaining 60 plays. As soon as the game's over, get the ambulance ready. Take me straight to the fucking hospital.
And there will be procedures that will have to happen.
Because I'm giving it everything I got for those 60 plays.
Oh, me too. I might be hopping on my right leg though.
I need the air cast. I need the backboard and an ambulance right to the hospital.
And also because I came back for a game, if you could get one of those huge checks that they do for like charity and stuff, that's how I want to receive my game check. I want, or like how they did in golf, like they're huge, like life-size checks. If you can get that done, I could find a way to do something for the Super Bowl. You get me a game check like that, I'm in. Just have 2 written and then rip up the other one. You know,
I wonder what Eric's contract looks like.
I bet it's nothing. I bet it's whatever the playoff. That guy doesn't need any money.
Oh yeah. I guess it's playoff checks at this point.
Yeah, which sucks. I mean, I guess they could have given him a signing bonus, but see, that's the other thing. I don't know if I'm just coming back for playoff checks. Hey, give me a certain amount to make it worth it. Like a signing bonus if I'm going to feel like I need a procedure afterwards, I need something that's going to be halfway worth it. Yeah. And it has to start over our health insurance for the 5 years.
But you would think right now, with as talented as the Rams are, you would think there's a good shot of multiple games. You would think, I know anything can happen in the playoffs, and the Rams finished the year on a downward slide.
And so Arizona's pretty solid.
So. And Arizona is scary. So you would hope there's going to be multiple games, but also the other thing is wild card playoff checks. You got to think is up to like 30 some grand now.
Yeah.
So 30 some grand for one game. Okay. Yeah.
I think that'd be great, but like, you gotta at least ask for a signing bonus. Just be like, I'm old. Yeah. I'm old. I can't function.
You do make an interesting point about the health insurance though, because it's obviously he's been 2 years into his.
Yeah. So does he restart the 5 years?
Yeah. Does he reset it?
That's why it's like, hey, sign me.
That would be worth it. Then you
get there and they're like, this guy's a bag of trash. It's like, this guy can't play. It's like, only thing he can do is like some TRX, like upright rows.
So is he coming in and like going to start?
I don't think he's starting, but he's in. I'm not going to say I can say this because it's going to be, the game's going to be over, but I think he's already in some packages. He's activated.
That's awesome.
I don't think he's going to start from the sound of it though.
Okay.
But I'm excited, man. I can't wait to watch. I think it'll be fun. My guess is he has to, do you think he goes into, he's going to have to go into like doing like super, super superstitious things. Like, I don't know if he's going to, did you have any superstitious things?
No, I thought we were doing this for the story time.
Well, there's never a better time to do story time then.
All right, kids, you know what time it is.
Hey, children.
Come and get on the damn rug.
Gather around, children.
Got my glasses on, got my dip in. As I read, it's the same way I read to my own kids. Kids, be quiet. Get in bed.
Get in bed. Let daddy, and you say it like, even though they're older, like, let daddy put his glasses on.
Yep. Put on my glasses, throw on my dip. I'll read you this damn story. All right. Superstitions while playing. I don't consider myself that much of a superstitious person. I'm a very routine oriented person. I do like having a routine, doing the same things every day. It keeps me on a path, like gives me a sense of purpose and direction in my life. As a player, though, I will say confidence was an issue. Just because even though I fancied myself a pretty good
as the
player,
toughest guy in the history.
Well, yeah, tough guy, smart guy, a good player. When you look at a guy like an Aaron Donald or a Cam Hayward or Vita Vea and Dominican Sue, Fletcher Cox, obviously I'd watch these guys and go, wow, that's something else. So there was always a confidence issue. And even though I don't believe in it, I know superstitions are a sham. I was willing to pull out all the stops, whatever it took. So I do have a couple examples.
Leave the best for last.
Yeah, of things I would do.
Kids, listen, this is important.
Very important.
Hey, shut up over there, Bernie. Listen to Uncle Slauson.
Yeah, so I had multiple mouth guards. I would rotate mouth guards based on win and loss. If it was a win game, then that mouth guard would get saved in a separate case, and it would only be used for games. If we lost, that would become my practice mouth guard.
I didn't know that.
So I would have the taste of that loss in my mouth all week. And then I would have a brand new mouth guard for the game. So that would be one example. I
did not know that.
Yep. I would also do the same thing with my shirts. Your game day shirts, depending on if you were in an organization that required suits on game day or just like jeans and a button up. So whatever button up I was wearing, I would have a series of, 6 or 7 of them. And beginning of the year, all of them were in play based on win and loss. Win, obviously the shirt stays in the rotation. Loss, it goes to the back of the closet and it's not being worn again. So when I was at the Chargers, I ran out of shirts. I had to go buy some new ones. And this is probably
such a waste of money.
I know, but I had to do it because I had to pull out all the stops.
Yeah, fair.
Pull out all the stops to be successful. I knew it was crap. Just there's no science to it at all, other than if you believe it works, then it works. Placebo deal. And this is probably the most egregious one. There was one day
mouthpieces and shirts. Okay, go ahead.
Mouthpieces and shirts. This is the most ridiculous, egregious superstition that I carried.
I think I know about this one.
You do know about this one.
Kids, listen, this one's important.
I thought I told this story on here before, but Scott informed us that since he's taken over as producer, he has no idea what the story is. So it is good. So your routine in the morning on game day, well, what I would do is I'd wake up and I'd be over to the locker room early, and I would come in, I'd get undressed, out of my jeans and button up, take off my boots, take out my knives, and put them where they're supposed to go.
Yeah, standard. Like, by the way, this is pretty standard for an NFL player. To get your knives out,
yeah,
get your boots off.
Yep,
pretty standard. All guys do that.
So I'd be sitting there at my locker naked, and I would unpack my travel bag into the locker, and it's got my playbook in there, and extra pair of underwear or two, just in case you don't know.
You don't know what's going to happen, if it's going to be messy or what, right?
Yeah, just all the things I need, roller sticks, all that stuff. And as I'm unpacking my bag, I realized something. A pair of my wife's lacy underwear had static clung to some of my clothes. I didn't realize this when I was packing my bag. I don't know if the dryer sheet just didn't work or whatever, but there was some static in those clothes. So when I was packing my bag, I completely missed it, and it went in the bag. And now I'm in the locker room. Luckily, I was one of the first dudes there. So as I'm unpacking the thing, and I see these bright red lacy deals clung to one of my shirts, I was like, oh shit. And I shoved it back in the bag. I'm like, okay, nobody saw. Because how weird would that be if somebody's like, what the hell's going on over there, Slaw? So nobody saw that. It was good. Well, then we go through the game, and we had a huge win, and I got player of the game. So from there on out, the rest of the season, every game, I had to steal a pair of my wife's underwear and put it in my travel bag.
So was it the same pair, or would you just...
No, I'd go get a new pair every week. And
well, because otherwise, if you just kept the same pair, your wife would be like, where's that pair?
Where did those go?
So you wanted to keep her because she didn't know about this, right?
No, she didn't know until the season was over. Nobody knew except me, and I knew it was stupid. It was really dumb.
Keep some underwear close to your heart,
but just in case, I needed to have it so I could perform well. I was pulling out all the stops.
So children, this is an adult thing.
Mm-hmm.
You can have superstitions, like that can be for anyone. The underwear, leave that to your parents.
Mm-hmm.
Leave that to your parents. I think if any of you kids start stealing underwear from other people, I don't think it's going to go well.
Yeah.
That's a mom and dad thing.
And also, kids, I think this is the ultimate moral to this story. Don't be afraid to be great.
Right. Even
do whatever it takes to be great. And
when you're older.
Well, it's okay. If you have,
if
you're young and you want to go steal a pair of your mom's chones, have at it. Do whatever it takes to be great.
If you still want to, that's fair.
Yeah.
If it's one of your moms, fine.
Yeah. The reason we went with this story, children, is because we're doing a lot of revamping of the podcast, and we're going to do a little adjustment of the story time. Instead of me getting into ridiculousness in my life and almost dying.
Oh, that'll still happen.
Yeah.
Those things are probably,
let's not get carried away here.
Still going to happen.
We're just not going to put your life to this test every week.
Right. But what ultimately we're trying to do is we're trying to help people. And
this helps people.
Yeah. This was a good lead up, fade in, whatever you want to call it, of getting back to the core of our careers and telling good stories where I can affect people's lives and help change them and make them better. So steal your mom's underwear or your wife's underwear if you're older. Just be great.
Yeah, I love that.
I think there is a very big helping people in there in that moment. Danny, do you? Besides the underwear?
I think
do you want to go back and recash that? Because I sure could.
See, I think stealing the underwear does make you be great. I mean, Don't steal from a store. It has to be from your mom or your wife.
Yes.
Okay.
We don't need.
Which sounds rude. And this is the other
getting arrested for breaking into Victoria's Secret.
And I know
California smash and grab.
Right. I know there's some children listening, but I also know there's some 35-year-olds steal from your wife and not your mom. I think that could get weird. I think that
what is
could
your
get weird.
takeaway? What is your takeaway, Scott?
The takeaway is that you need to tell yourself that confidence is a big deal, and that you need to, the confidence comes from what you tell yourself. So tell yourself how great you are and how you're going to kill it instead of superstition, because that's really bad science. Because what would happen if for some reason your wife stopped wearing underwear? What would you have done then? Right. But if you would have been confident, you would never have to rely on the underwear. Yes.
I think he probably would have taken his mom's.
Well, I was so glad for that season to be over, because then after that, I didn't do it anymore. Like as the seasons went on, I didn't steal underwear anymore.
Like, how did you feel when you were in the middle of the night when you're going, got to get these, no one in the house knows? Did you have, so like, what were you like, really super nervous? And did you have a story if you got caught, or you're just winging it?
Yeah, I was just winging it, just making sure that, pack my bag and
like walking around like a mouse. Like that doesn't happen at your size.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. I'm pretty light on the feet.
There you go.
But no, Cammie knew.
Yeah, what Cammie say? What was her like? Was she like, Matt, you're an idiot? Like,
yeah, I've heard essentially that
many times.
Yeah, pretty much that. Like, that's really stupid, and you should probably never tell anybody that story.
And we also learned that wives are really smart.
Mm-hmm.
They have a great perspective.
That's my favorite, though. Yeah, and you should never tell anyone. So good thing you're only telling us two. That's what I love.
Yeah, that's it. And the 17. Let's not get crazy now.
Yeah, I know. There might have got one. I think there was one episode that hit 18.
Yeah.
Air's getting pretty thin up here.
All right. Let's do a Woodrow's wisdom.
Let me get my mind right. All right. What do you got for me, Scott? What do you got?
We know you just came off of a pretty intense week that you didn't share with anybody, and that's okay. And that's great. Yeah. And I don't expect you to share that here, but a positive one, not a negative one, a very positive. Very positive. Yep. So my question to you is, what is that thing that just sets that hair on the back of your neck on fire every day? Like, what is that thing that you've had, saying when you were maybe younger to, playing in the NFL, to playing golf competitively, to, not being able to play golf today because it's 2 degrees. So like, what is that thing every day that's consistent in your life that stands up on the back of your neck? We don't plan these either too. So it's not like I say, hey, Danny, we're going to talk about this today. So
that's a loaded
spare us a second.
Question. Love loaded baked potatoes, but that's a loaded question. So let me give you, I'll give an answer, and it kind of bleeds into everything, because you said, like with football, like with golf, like what I do now.
What makes Danny Danny? Like, what is the thing that makes your hair stand up?
And I think this is going to be very common. What I'm going to kind of lean on with everything, with all these Woodrow's wisdom, because that's kind of where, it's what my life is built on. And number one and only number one, it's my faith. And that's the thing that it's obviously that gets me up every morning and is motivating to me. And that's what it's my personal faith, my personal relationship with Jesus. And I think everything else flows from that. What that may look like could be so many different things, but all of us, so every single person on earth has gifts. Even if you think that you're like, man, I suck. I'm not good at this. I'm not good at that. Or I like sports, but I suck at them, or I like that. Well, everyone has gifts, and it's just, what are they? Mine happen to be athletics. Mine happen to be, for the most part, people somewhat enjoy, I guess, being around me. So I've been told. And I think the biggest thing with anything is God gave me passion. He gave me competitiveness. I would say relentlessness. And it's my job. So it's my job too, is to just go use those gifts. And I've found that God's given me the competition is like one of the number one things in my life. And he's put other things in my life that are competition, like football. I loved competing. All the sports growing up, I loved competing. And now anyone that's listened to me talk about retirement, I think God made golf for myself, not necessarily for other people, but for myself, because golf is competitive, and it's competitive with yourself. And it's like it's something I can do often, and it never gets boring for me. So I would say my faith gets me up every morning. And then there's different things within it that God allowed golf for me. And I think I'm pretty sure I haven't had this conversation. I'm excited to, when I get to heaven, to be like, hey, was golf like only for me, or was it for like other people too? But that's something. God knew that I needed golf to get up every morning. God knew I needed a wife to motivate me, yada, yada, yada. So I think that's what gets me up. You have questions on that at all, Scott? Because like I could go even more in depth or all over the place with it.
Well, I mean, I think you listed out some of your like core values, right? Like faith, competitiveness, perseverance. I think you didn't say that word, but like working hard or working through things. And I mean, it all makes sense just by hearing you talk about that, of, how you became the person you are. Number one, you had your purpose or your why, like, and you believed in that at 100%. Right. So that's an incredible gift that not everybody has. I will say, I think people are still searching at all ages, all walks of life. Yeah. Especially in this day and age.
Well,
I think, go ahead, Slaw.
I think it kind of ties in a way back into, the Slauson story time, that, competitiveness, especially when it pertains to you are a guy, more so than almost anyone that I've met, that anything you decide to do, you want to be great at it. Mm-hmm. Whereas with me, it's kind of more competition with myself, just be better than I was the day before. Or on the golf course, it's just like, this shot's got to be better than my last shot, or this putt is better than, the last one, or
the next opportunity is the best opportunity. That's what I'm hearing.
Yeah. It's just getting better and better. And in terms of faith, I believe that God put us here, put men here, and not to say that women are different. I think women are different in a lot of ways, obviously.
in a lot of better ways than us.
In a lot of better ways.
But there is some differences. I mean, that's fair.
But men need purpose. I think we're at this point in our society right now that men are trying to water themselves down and water other men down because of the whole man box thing, the whole anti-macho kind of beta male type of thing that everybody's talking about now. I think it is dangerous to subscribe to that philosophy. I think men are supposed to be warriors. Men are supposed to be monsters. That's what we are built for. Now that doesn't mean you can't be soft. You know, you have a wife, you have children.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't mean there's not a soft side to you when you have to be compassionate or loving. But God designed us to be warriors, and part of that process is to have a purpose every day. And us now in retirement in our 30s, it's been difficult trying to search for that purpose. And you have found yours. You have a lot of purposes. We talk about your pursuit in golf, but you have a lot of pursuits. And with you, you want to be great of whatever you decide to do. And that's sort of what I have discovered is the most important thing with me. I don't look at it as I need to be great. I look at it as I need to be better than somebody else or better than myself. So that's just kind of my takeaway with it all.
I think after listening to, I'm even getting more of kind of what I would say. I think the thing that probably the easiest answer is I'm trying to be every day who God created me to be. And competition is one of those things. He's instilled that in me and I love it. Like outside of like my family and stuff. But then I have other things. I mean, obviously I want to be the best husband I can be for my wife. I want to be the best dad that I can be for my kids. I want my kids to know that regardless of what happens, no matter what, they will be loved unconditionally. A lot of parents, I'm not like calling people, but like their kids feel conditional love. I was taught by my parents that unconditional love, no matter what I ever will do, kind of like what God is God loves us unconditionally. My parents loved me unconditionally, no matter what I did wrong. Now, was I going to get in trouble? Sure. Yeah, whatever. But there's a lot of parents that love their kids conditionally. And it's like, man, I feel for those people because that's not love. Love is regardless of what you do, I will love you no matter what. No matter what. Oh, you messed up, you did something stupid, you got in trouble. Well, I'm still, you might get in trouble for it, but I still love you. I'm still your dad. And I kind of go like to think of this, like now we're getting definitely spiritual, but Jesus died on the cross for our sins. Even when we sin, he still died on the cross for our sins. He loves us regardless. And my thing is, we're called to love like him. So we should still love like our kid. Like if our kids do something jacked up, I want them to always know that dad loves them no matter what. So that's my call, is to obviously be who God created me to be. And that's to obviously be the best dad, be the best friend, to love others. Like it says to love God and love others. It doesn't mean you're going to go kiss every person. It doesn't mean you're going to go hug every person, but just in the way that you act. And man, like if I can do that, I'm going to fail almost every day at it in some point, I feel like. But like that's what was it you said? Gets the hair on the back of your neck, kind of, or gives you almost like the chills or something.
Goosebumps. Goosebumps.
Goosebumps.
Yeah, the hair
going every day is like, yeah, like that's what it is to be who I was created to be. And do I fail at that miserably on some days? Yeah, like I really do. But that's what I'm striving to do, or I don't know if striving is the correct word, but that's what I'm trying to do with my life. And yeah, that gave me a little more clarity after hearing kind of what you guys were saying, and it kind of got me to where we are now.